A few years ago, I spent $200 on a monitor light bar, and I was completely convinced it was worth it. It felt premium, it mounted cleanly, it had every feature I thought I needed, and honestly, I didn't question it. But this week, 3 new lights showed up at my door, and within about 10 seconds, I got really uncomfortable because they were brighter. Not good for the price brighter, just better at lighting up my desk. And that made me start wondering something I didn't expect. Did I overpay? If you've never used a monitor light bar, you might think that this is just a dumb gimmick. Just turn on your room light. The problem with room lighting is direction. It lights up the walls, the ceiling. It's not focused on your workspace. A monitor light bar creates directional lighting. It has a beam of light that's angled forward and down, so there's no glare on your screen. And you enjoy focused illumination exactly where you're typing or writing. At night, this matters even more. You don't want your entire room bright at 10 p.m. You want the room calm with intentional lighting at your desk so you can still get work done. There's just something about a dim room and a well-lit desk that feels so much better. And once you get used to it, it's hard to go back. The thing I didn't realize until I started testing these lights is that the monitor isn't even a necessary part of the equation. There's a lighting setup I've been missing this whole time, and it doesn't even attach to a monitor at all. Quick note, this video is sponsored by Quntis. They sent these lights over for me to review. And look, completely honestly, I didn't want to like these lights that much. They each cost just over $60, and as a guy who's been using his $200 premium light bar, I came into this really skeptical just as a consumer. I mean, who wants to purchase something expensive only to realize later on it might have been a mistake? So it's not that I didn't expect to prefer something cheaper, it's that I legitimately didn't want to. Quntis sent me 2 monitor light bars, so we'll start there. And because I have a 42-inch display, I actually had room to mount both. The first thing I noticed was that these were both a bit easier to mount than my BenQ. Because the screen I'm using is technically a TV, I struggled a bit to get my BenQ to sit just right. The design of both Quntis bars handled the abnormal screen without any issue, which was a pleasant surprise. Additionally, both light bars came with flexibility in terms of the angle I could have them point towards, which is essential. But all in all, there isn't anything too different from my BenQ so far. The problem arose when I actually turned the first light bar on. As soon as I hit the power button, this thing was just noticeably brighter than my other light bar. And it was at this moment I knew I overpaid all those years ago. And no, this isn't just because I have 2 light bars compared to 1. I was testing both individually. On camera, I'm not sure how much it captures, but in person, the difference is significant. The BenQ struggles to light up the further corners of my desk's working space, but these things do so without issue. I said something literally like, well, good for Quntis, but really not that good for me, because, you know, I guess I screwed up apparently. Whether I'm typing, writing, or reading, the illumination these provide is just better, and that's the most important feature of all. We'll start with the RGB Pro Plus. The headlining feature here is that it has an RGB backlight. Backlights are nice because they provide what's called bias lighting. It's not the light you use directly to see, but it's the light that spills around your monitor. It's important because it's proven to reduce eye strain in dark environments. RGB has become more and more trendy for a reason. You can have complete customizability over the colors in your setup, not just warmer or cooler. For me, I really like the gradient modes. It gives this gamer feel while still remaining subtle. The one slight critique I found is that for this light bar in particular, the puck sometimes isn't the most responsive. It takes me a couple of taps for the thing to turn on instead of just one. But once it's set, then it lights the desk up extremely well. The other light bar here skips out on the RGB backlight, and for some people they won't miss that at all. The unique feature here is radar motion sensing. Once you turn this feature on using the puck, the light bar will automatically detect when you're sitting down at your desk. That way you never even have to think about turning the thing on. Plus, once you leave your desk, it automatically shuts off after 5 minutes. That removes friction, which allows you to be as productive as possible. It's also worth mentioning this light bar in particular is advertised to have an extremely high color rendering index, or CRI. Now, admittedly, I'm no expert from a technical perspective, but basically the higher your CRI, the closer the light can get to resembling real daylight. From experience, this thing does look pretty natural, so that's definitely a plus. The thing to keep in mind with this one is that it has a slightly larger portion in the front where your light sits against the monitor. So for me, since the bezels are thin on my screen, it technically covers a very small portion. Personally, it's not something I really notice ever, but this light bar is technically a bit more intrusive than its RGB counterpart. But both of these monitor light bars assume something, that you're working with a monitor. And to be honest, that's not always how I work. I have a second desk in this room, and it's intentionally minimal. Sometimes I want to just work from my laptop, or I just want to journal or read something without a computer at all. I was really craving a solution like a monitor light bar, something that effectively lights up my working area, can change brightness and color temperature, and is out of the way of the actual desk surface. So I wanted monitor light bar style lighting without the monitor. For a while I had to compromise and use this little desk lamp, and honestly it didn't meet any of my requirements. So when Quntis sent out this final product, I was actually really excited. It clamps onto the side of the desk instead of sitting directly on top of it. This means it doesn't take up any room on the desk space, and it can stretch over your desk so that it can effectively light up the entire surface. And of course it comes with a control puck just like the other lights in this video, so you can control the color temperature and brightness. And this thing gets legitimately bright as well. It even makes a difference during the day when I'm by a window. So beyond just being aesthetically pleasing, it's functional in all the right ways. At night, I only need the lowest brightness setting, but this for me is where it really shines. I mean, look at this nice warm pocket of light. It's perfect for winding down without having to look at a screen. If I'm completely honest, it's my favorite of the three that I received. It solved a problem that I didn't even realize I could solve, and it made this desk feel complete. Now, if there is one slight drawback to these products, is customizability. If I were to give my BenQ light bar a point over the Quntis products, it's that it has more adjustability for both brightness and color temperature. So when I change a setting, it feels smooth, whereas the Quntis products have fewer steps in between the minimum and maximum brightness and color temperature, so it feels a lot more like a staircase than a straight line, if that makes sense. For me personally, I'd prefer to have the brighter max setting, but if you'd like to spend 3 times the price and get that smoother adjustment experience, then you're totally free to do that. So the reality is, for me at least, I do feel like I wasted $200 a few years ago. At the time, of course, I didn't realize I was just being exposed to monitor light bars in general, and BenQ was, and to an extent still is, getting most of the hype. But Quntis offers not only a far better value, but arguably just a better product, period. The great part is you can buy all 3 of the lights in this video for under the price that I paid for my single BenQ light bar. If you're interested, you can use my affiliate links below. They help support me and they give you a slight discount.